Hello and welcome to the conversation. Today is all about the language of love. And here to help us identify and understand the 5 love languages is psychologist Dr. Alduin Tart. Welcome back to the show, Dr. Tart. And also joining us today is licensed professional counselor Latoya Hayes, who's also been on the Portia Show. So welcome back. Good to have 2 experts and therapists and marriage counselors, all the good stuff here. First of all, let's talk about this concept. Before we talk about what the love languages are, where did this come from anyway? It started with a book.
Absolutely. And I'm pretty sure Dr. Tart and we have seen this book and read this book a million times, but The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
So it's well known. And for your viewers who may not know it, I'm excited to be talking about this topic today.
Yes, indeed. So what are these 5 love languages?
I like to remember like WAG, QP. So words of affirmation.
Clever.
Right? You have to remember. Brothers, WAG, QP. WAG, QP.
Not swag, but wag.
Right.
Easy way to remember.
So
Okay.
words of affirmation,
Uh-huh.
acts of service, gifts. I can't forget that. Was my wife's personal favorite, right? Q stands for quality time, and P, physical touch.
Okay.
Men like physical touch.
Gotcha. Wag QT. Thank you for that. All right. And those are all very different. I mean, they're broad, but they really do speak to very different ways that people communicate.
Right.
And how things can get lost in the translation, right?
And I think it's important to even realize, why do we need love languages? Because some people may say, well, why do I even need to learn my love language or my partner's love language? But it helps you identify how we receive and give love. And so when you can identify that in any relationship, it's going to bring about more fulfillment.
And so how do we get to a point where we know, right? Because we just think, well, I mean, this is just basic. I'm just talking to you and you should know me. You should understand me. How do these love languages basically categorize how the differences in how men and women speak, and not just by gender, by personality?
Exactly.
Right. I mean, their love languages we like to give, and you can have a totally different what you want to receive. I may want to give gifts, but I may not want to receive them. Don't shop for me. Right? You don't know my style, right? All right. Or I don't need words of affirmation. Cook me something, right? Or a lot of men will say, don't say anything. Get to the physical touch, and then you can get the words of affirmation. So for a lot of people, they have a rank for what's actually results in love, what feels like love. Because sometimes we can be loving people in a way we think they should receive, but they say that's not how I want to be loved.
Right.
It doesn't touch them at all.
Right. And then I have to believe it changes over the years, right? In your 20s, it looks very different than when you are all nestled in and snuggled up decades in with the same partner, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It could change daily.
Yeah.
It could change weekly, because you may feel like a gift is right on time, or sometimes it could just be, I just need some words of affirmation because I haven't heard that I look good. I haven't heard that you find me funny, right? So it could change based upon the mood, and that's why it's important for us to ask and kind of tune in.
And just your season of life. So like you said, in your 20s, you may need a different type of love. But as you go through different seasons, as you get older, or like you said, even week to week, what you desire and what you need may change. So it's important to stay in tune with yourself and be intentional about getting to know yourself and your partner.
And your partner, right? And it's got to be challenging, right? Because there's so much more to communication than even the love languages, right? There's what your partner's childhood expression, how they saw love expressed, right? So how much of that do you then end up having to weave in with different relationships?
So say my love language is physical touch, but you were not raised in an affectionate family, right? So, but you want to be intimate into the night, right? You don't hold my hand, you don't do anything, you don't have any words, of affirmation, but you get in the bed, you tap me on the thigh. That's not gonna work, right? So we have to start talking about it. If my number one is affection, and then you're like that, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I'm bringing home the bacon. I'm here, I'm physically present.
So how do you say, I mean, because that is real, right? I know some people who are like, I'm not into hugging, don't hug me. And I'm like, well, we're going to have a serious misunderstanding from day one because I'm a hugger. How do you express that? Or do you at some point, I mean, can a love language or incompatible love languages be a deal breaker?
And I think it's all about the individual person being willing to grow. So even though that may not be your love language, if you love this person and you value the relationship, you're going to step outside of your comfort zone and love that person according to their love language. So it's like, well, I'm just not that type of person. Well, if you value that relationship, you're going to have to be.
You're going to have to be.
And for men, the number one green flag for a good husband is influenceability.
Yeah.
So if his wife is saying, hey, this is my number one love language, you say, well, this, you can't change me. That man gonna be divorced.
Right.
Or that man gonna be a roommate if you
Yeah.
can't afford to get divorced, so you don't feel like it. So you have to adapt. A relationship is about the relationship, not who you are. So I have to, it's me plus you equals what we're gonna do to meet each other's number one love language. So you better learn how to love.
Right.
Hold a hand for 2 seconds and then go to 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds.
Just
Become natural.
Just hold on.
Exposure
Hold
therapy.
it on.
Right.
Just give me just 5 more
stay in
minutes,
there.
5 more seconds.
It's gonna be natural in about 2 weeks. We would
Right,
have.
exactly. Being intentional.
Great start to what is going to be a really, really good conversation. This is so helpful already. All right, stand by.
My love language is, I think, quality time.
Yeah. Why is that so much more? Why does that rank higher than the rest?
I think like just having a good time with someone, like connecting, or like hang out, it's just a special, builds a bond.
Well, coming up, our experts take a deep dive into which love languages work well together and which ones need a little extra, help that hold my hand a little longer, depending on your partner. We'll be right back.